Welcome to the Real News Network. I'm Paul Jay in Washington, and joining us now from London is Mohammed Junaid. He's a researcher, a PhD student, and he is studying the identity of the Pashtun nation. Thanks for joining us, Mohammed.
Thank you very much.
When I was in Kandahar in the spring of 2002, we talked to a lot of people about the Taliban and what had just happened in the war, and I heard quite a few people, a very antagonistic feeling towards the Taliban. And this is Kandahar, one of the real cities of the Pashtun nation in Afghanistan. And many people thought of the Taliban as sort of an extension of the Pakistani intelligence. People were quite derogative. But now it seems the Taliban are making quite a comeback. So can you start by talking about, does the Taliban represent the Pashtun nation?
I think, we need to go a little bit in the background and the history and, compare where does religious fundamentalism or extremism to some extent comes into Pashtuns, and were they like that before? Had they lived as one nation since the last 2 or 3 centuries? When we compare these two streams, we come to find out that in Afghan or Pashtun nation, the most important value they hold is their culture, which is normally represented by their code of honor, which is called Pashtun Wali. Now, Pashtun Wali is normally preferred over the religious values. Although Islam, the Afghans and the Pashtuns keep Islam very near to them, but Pashtun Wali takes precedence in most of the cases when they decide. When you look at Taliban, the case is turned over its head. Islam is the most important value for them, and Pashtun Wali comes second. I can give you a small example. Every tribe has a dance which they call Atan. And in Atan, most of the males get around in a circle and they have a special dance, which is not a Western dance, but it is a kind of a dance. If you look at Taliban, they would never allow that kind of gathering with drums and all that. So in Taliban, the Islamic side takes precedence.
And just something I learned when I was there is that there's very, very few, if any, Qurans actually in Pashtun. Most of the Qurans are in Arabic, which means most of the Pashtuns can't really read the Quran themselves.
Yes, because religion is more embedded inside the culture of Pashtun Wali. It is famous that when the Pashtun tribes became Muslims, it was told to them that their values are very near to Islam. For example, I can tell you one of the most important commandments of God in Quran is to give a due share to your daughter. In a father's will, there has to be some share for a daughter. But in Pashtun Wali, that is not allowed, and that it doesn't happen in religious fundamentalism even when they're Pashtuns. How did it happen? Do they represent Pashtuns? Well, what happened was when the Russian and the communists came into Afghanistan, Pashtuns and the rest of Afghans, most of them went to Pakistan. In Pakistan, they were educated, they were bred, and many Pashtuns were bred in madrasas. And those madrasas, the curriculum and the training was directly funded from America.
And from Saudi Arabia.
And from Saudi Arabia. There was a lot of money flowing in, and surely that was of interest to Pakistan and for the military dictator then Zia-ul-Haq, who is known for his religious overzealousness, actually. Many of the Pashtuns became more Muslims than more Pashtuns. This is what happened.
This is under the influence of the madrasas, mostly in Pakistan.
Yes, it also has many reasons, and one of the reasons is that non-Pashtuns speak Farsi or Persian. Persian language is more near to them, while Pashtuns speak Pashto. When they came to Pakistan, most of the schools and most of the modern education was in Persian. In fact, in Afghanistan, it is like that. Persian is the foremost language. And then again, those who had to fight wars were more Pashtuns. So most of the Pashtuns were there fighting, and that actually changed the colors of this tribe a little.
One of the things I learned when I was there, you confirm if this is true, that under Pashtunwali, the real center of religious observance was the shrine, not the mosque, and the mosque becomes predominant under the influences of the madrasas and the Saudis.
Yes, the concept of shrine is very much there in Pashtunwali, and the reason for that is that it is it is not considered a ban in Islam, which is like that in Saudi Arabia. If you go to Saudi version of Islam, as they say, a shrine is really a no-go area, while in Pashtun culture, it has nothing wrong. I mean, one of the main poet of Pashto, Rahman Baba, whose shrine is in Peshawar, he is one of the greatest saint poet of Pashto language. His shrine was bombed by Pakistani Taliban. So that thing comes in, and it was never destroyed, or it was never touched in the last 100 years.
So how much is this a debate or a conflict within the Pashtun culture now between the Taliban influence, the Wahhab influence from the Saudis and Pakistan versus the traditional Pashtun culture? And how much of this centers around the shrine versus the mosque?
The whole history will tell you that the Pashtun ethnicity, which is divided in many tribes, has lived like this, but they have not fought when there is an external power there. There is a lesson to be learned in history. For example, when Khushal Khan Khattak was fighting the Mongols, the Khattak tribe was fighting Mongols, the Afridi tribe was fighting the Mongols, and the Safi tribe was fighting the Mongols. These are all tribes of Pashtuns. But the Yusufzai tribe, which is mainly located in Swat area, was not fighting. These differences have remained there. You cannot say that, they will be pitted against each other when an external power is there. When the external power goes away, if the NATO and the armies go away from Afghanistan, there is a very good chance that they will be pitted against each other. There is a chance.
Now, to what extent does Pashtun nationalism want a Pashtun country, which I assume would mean parts of Afghanistan, but also parts of Pakistan? How real is that?
The reality is like this, that the Pashtun tribes have not obeyed any central law. And if you look at NWFP and Balochistan, the border is practically non-existent. You can freely come and go across very easily. That's not a problem. So if Pashtuns are allowed to, cross this border easily, they will consider it is Pashtunistan for them. And I don't think, the Pashtuns will like to have, a separate country with the drawn walls. They will not like that.
Well, in the next segment of our interview, let's deal with two questions. Is Talibanism merging with Pashtunism, if that can be said that way? And also, just what is the relationship of the Pashtuns to Al-Qaeda? Please join us for the next segment of our interview with Mohammed Junaid.